Alright everybody, this is the rating with Gaiscioch. Here we're doing a little walkthrough of the various things that we do a little differently than the rest of people. So first up, what is raiding? For those of you that don't know what raiding is, in various games like Guild Wars 2, Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft, the top tier endgame dungeons are referred to as raids or trials. Raiding typically requires a certain amount of DPS per second to be successful. If you don't have the DPS, usually the boss will enrage and wipe the entire party. This means you cannot take your regular everyday trash gear into a raid and expect to be successful. There is a timer that is running and you have to beat that timer, otherwise you die. These are highly skilled dungeons that require you to practice, coordinate, and absolute attention to detail. If you see a circle on the ground, you got to get out of the circle. Otherwise, you're going to die, which is going to help the rest of your raid team die. So if you're not good at getting out of circles, you probably don't want to raid. If you are not quick enough or have the correct build, you will be a detriment to your team. This is very true across raids. There is no way to put that any nicer. You will hurt the team if you're not equipped right. Raiding traditionally lasts more than 3 hours, some as much as 6. I think ESO trials are probably the exception. I don't know many of those that last 3 hours. They're pretty short. So, but if you're WoW raiding, I've heard stories of 12-hour raids, and that's just insane. So what to expect while raiding? In a traditional raid, you're going to experience a lot of yelling, profanity, insults, highly toxic environments, anger and frustration, elitist attitudes, favoritism, and the inability to accept and learn from defeat. Watch any video on YouTube, just YouTube raiding, and or like WoW raiding, Guild Wars 2 raiding, and you can hear it for yourself. It sometimes gets pretty vile. Anytime that you're doing pug rigs, this is kind of what you should expect. It's going to get the traditional raid ambiance. It's going to be very, very colorful. In Gaiscioch raids, we try to raid a little kinder. We try to pick people up, encourage them, pay them compliments. So if somebody does something good, we try to pat them on the back, say, hey, good job. You know, it makes somebody want to do it good again. We usually bring a lot of laughter into our raids. Funny gimmick raids. If you've ever gone to a raid with Soren, you probably know that there are some fun times ahead. She sometimes will have who has the funniest costumes when they go into raids. She did a taekwondo run where everybody was in their underwear. You know, there's always some kind of funny thing that we like to do in our raids. Clear instructions. We like to think ahead before we go into a boss battle, and we try to push things through by being very organized. So we'll look at the boss battle, find out the mechanics, explain all the mechanics to you before the event. All you need to do is pay attention and try to figure out what piece of what we said is happening at this moment. And then we also do a lot of build assistance. So like if you aren't sure about your build, you can talk to our raid leaders and they will help you get better equipped and find what you need to be going after in your free time to be a better asset to the raid. And then we understand that the failure that you experience in raids is a key component into a memorable victory. I'll get into that a little bit here in the next slide. Here's some perspective. Who remembers the first time you slayed one of these? Who can tell me the date and time and who they were with when they killed one of these? Nobody? The chances are you probably don't remember. And you definitely don't remember what loot these guys dropped. Now these guys, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure you could tell me who you were with when you killed them, or when it was, or some exciting story about how this boss died. The thing about raids is that they are built for memorable experiences. It's the times that you lose. You know, that mud crab there might have given you some havoc, but I guarantee you the Skrit and the Murloc definitely really didn't kill you that often. These guys, on the other hand, you probably died a lot trying to kill them. Died a lot. And the more times that you experience death, the better that victory tastes. So don't look at raid wipes as a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because in the end, that's going to make you remember that experience. It's going to make you love conquering that beastie. So some food for thought for you guys. The most memorable victories come after repeated defeats. This is true. No matter what you're doing, if you're playing a sport, trust me, I'm a Bengal fan. When we win, it's amazing. That's because we don't win ever. So, it's an amazing thing when it actually does happen. Loot does not come with you after you're done playing. Memories will. So when World of Warcraft goes offline finally in 2027, don't worry, because the memories will still be there. When Guild Wars 2 goes offline, when Guild Wars 3 comes out, don't worry. The memories will still be there. The sword that you got in that one raid that you did, it doesn't matter. It's not going to come with you. The memories will. It takes years to build a friendship and seconds to lose them. Lashing out in anger is the #1 way to lose friends. And it's not something you ever want to bring into a raid experience, because these guys are going to be your battle buddies. They're going to be there every step of the way with you and help you through the hardest encounters in the game. Nobody makes good decisions when angry. Anger by default makes your head cloudy and makes it hard for you to concentrate, makes you hard for you to see what's right in front of you. It'll always lead you astray. You will always make things worse when you react out of anger. Raiding is a great place to learn patience. Also see Parenthood. Yes, I went there. You've got to have a lot of patience to raid, because it's going to take you some time. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and you're going to lose a lot before you finally win. But it's going to be worth it in the end, because the hard road is always worth it. So our goals as Gaiscioch, we want to create a fun and enjoyable raid experience that is non-toxic, encouraging, and educational to all. So we want basically anybody who decides that they want to raid, if they're willing to make the commitment to get the gear and to get the builds that they need to be effective in that raid, we want them to be encouraged and be informed and know what they're doing. We're going to work hard to ensure our frustrations aren't taken out on others. We don't ever want to lash out at anyone. See our #1 rule in Gaiscioch: blades out, not in. That means you never attack family. We embrace defeat and learn from it in a constructive environment. You're going to have to lose to win. That's just how it is. So expect it. So being a part of a raid. What is going to be expected of you? Raid leaders can ask you to use certain equipment required for that raid. If you don't have that equipment, you're going to be expected to go get that equipment on your off hours, not during the time of the raid, to be able to meet that requirement. Once you have the requirements met, then you're going to be allowed into that raid. Do your homework. You can read instructions from the raid leaders. You can watch videos online. You can ask questions. You must be willing to follow. You must be willing to listen and follow directions. One false step can cause a raid wipe. So if you do not follow directions, the raid leader has the ability to deny you participation in the raid. So if you are chronically not listening to directions, the raid leader can dismiss you from the raid and bring somebody else instead. Come with a positive attitude and be ready to learn. No matter how many times you've done it before, there's always something new to learn. Our raiding etiquette. Do not bring negativity into a raid. This is a learning process, and negative comments and toxic behavior have no home in learning. It will definitely sideline it. You will not make any progress. It just goes bad and worse and worse. It is okay to suggest an idea to the leader in private through private message, but allow the raid leader to be the singular voice when giving an order. This helps keep the party from getting confused. I've seen this time and time again. I've been leading events for 18 years, and when you have some random person trying to give orders over the top of a leader, people end up getting confused and things go bad. The best thing to do is, if you have a better way of doing something, let the raid leader know in private, and they can decide whether or not they're going to deploy that idea. This helps them, not be able to control the group without adding extra voices to add confusion. Be respectful, kind, helpful to your fellow raiders. Never belittle or bring passive-aggressive phrases into a raid. This is a big thing. I've seen it a lot. People, a lot of times, will, they're not saying something, but they are saying something. That's pretty much passive-aggressive. Morale is a very important part of a successful raid group. Negative attitudes and comments will destroy a group's morale. So always try to keep that morale up. Pick up your friends. Someone stepped in the pool when they shouldn't have, don't yell at them. Pick them up and say, hey, that's the pool you want to stay out of. So claiming participation in a raid. When you are attending a raid, during the raid leader will most likely give you a 6-digit code, which you can go to Gaiscioch.com, and right in that box in the front page, you can place that code in there and hit claim. That'll claim participation for the raid up till right now. So if they pass it out at the beginning of the raid, make sure you don't put it in until the end of the raid. The first 7-day method is if you missed that 24-hour window, you can go log into Gaiscioch.com, click on the event under recent events on the homepage, select the objectives that you attended, and then click claim selected objectives. Next up, raid leadership. Your role as a raid leader, you are going to be the organizer of the event. You will need to research the raid and come up with the requirements for your raid. You can configure all of that in the event manager, which I'll show you in a moment. You will control the morale of your troops, so you need to make sure that if your group needs a pick-me-up, you find a pick-me-up for your group. Try to lighten the mood. Keep things on the happy laughter side rather than the angry, frustrated, banging your head on a keyboard side. You'll have to decide who goes and who doesn't based on your requirements and the needs of each raid. Unfortunately, you're going to find there's going to be 12 tanks that want to go into a raid, and you're going to have to choose 2. And you got to find out which 2 you want to bring. A lot of times it's usually the most geared or the most experienced. That's going to be your call. Each raid leader chooses their team, so they don't have to include anybody in their raid. They can choose who they're going to bring to the raid. If you want in that raid, you talk to that person and you find a way to be an asset to that group and get into that raid. If raid leaders aren't good, they're not going to have a raid for long. And then a new raid leader will spawn up and take their place. You will have to make the hard decision and dismiss people from your raid if they're acting in a toxic manner. We do not put up with toxic people in this community. They will be out of the door faster than they can say achoo. The reason we do that is because toxicity spreads. You get one toxic person in, and pretty soon it's 5 people, and then it's 10 people, and then it's 20 people, and then everybody is just a negative Nancy all around you, and it sucks. So we try to keep things really positive here. So we'll cut out that toxic right as we see it. So when you're preparing for your raid, come into it with a happy, upbeat attitude. Turn on some music that gets you in that mood before the raid. Put on your headphones, listen to it, and then open that door and say, it's game day, let's go. You got to come into it with a positive attitude, ready to take on the world. If you're negative, your troops will be too. Morale spreads, and it starts with you. So you got to make sure that your mood is up. Do your best to control the mood of the raid. Lead with encouraging words, complimenting people on a job well done. And if there's anyone to blame, try to blame yourself as often as you can, because that stops them from pointing fingers at each other. When they start pointing fingers at each other, that's when things go south. So try to always accept the blame on you. They're not going to go to your raid anymore? If you're a good leader, they're going to be back. So that way you just snuff out all of that little animosity that's going to be brewing. Just kind of laugh it off, move on, respawn, come back and do it again. Watch videos, read guides, build your strategy, and do everything you can to help people know what's going to be expected of them before the event. So this is not even day of. You want this clear as day what they need to do when they're going to be stepping in that door. So there is going to be a little flagging system that's almost done. So green flags, pretty much anybody's going to be able to give somebody a green flag on our site. It's basically a kudo. So this is when somebody does a nice thing, brings joy to an event, helpful person who helps pick people up. They'll basically get a little green flag on their profile, and you collect enough of them, and I'm probably going to give some kind of awards and whatnot. So we'll see. Orange flags are given to people with negative attitudes, snide comments, yelling at people, or other toxic behavior. If a player receives 2 orange flags within 14 days, it will get promoted to a red flag, and they won't be able to raid for 14 days. So the raid leader won't be able to select them in the drop down, and they won't be able to claim participation for any raids for 14 days. If a member earns 2 red flags in 3 months, it gets turned into a black flag. A black flag member is banned for 3 months. So they won't be able to raid for 3 months, can't claim participation for any raid for 3 months, can't sign up for a raid for 3 months. If a member earns 2 black flags within a year, they will be locked out for an entire year. This is how we protect our family from getting people that are chronically toxic in our raids. We've had it in the past where certain people will come week after week and just spoil the raid. We don't want that. We want them to have a reason to be good. If you're not good, you're going to get pushed out. And there is a clear, defined reason why you're going to be locked out of raids. So, scheduling a raiding event. Now I'm going to take you over to the website. Ta-da! You'll log in up here. You click on that. It'll log you in. And once you're here, you have a lead button. You click the lead button. Actually, no. Wait. I'm one step ahead. Stop that. Click the hamburger. And on April 1st, every year, that hamburger menu turns into an actual hamburger. You're going to love it. Now over here, you'll see Event Manager right at the top, Quick Launch. You got to click on that. And then you have your little Event Manager up here. You're going to select whatever game you're playing. So for this example, I will use WoW. And in here, you can select Dungeon or Raid. For our purposes, I'm going to select Raid. Click Create Event. Now you name your event. Give it a date. Time, you can say it's going to be recurring every 7 days. So if it's a weekly raid, 7 days. Over here in the related instances, I'm going to choose Blackwing Lair. Minimum level is 60. Max level is 60. Pre-made groups right here. I give it a little description. Now, as a raid leader, I hope you would put a lot of time into your descriptions and your special requirements and your loot rules. This is controlled all by you, so the guild doesn't have loot rules. You make your own. And if you ever have something like if it's a special event or something like that and you want to link to something, there's a link field here where you can put more information. In addition, I've also seen people use forum posts. So you post a forum post and then you link to that forum post there. Down here you have your group pre-raid. So if it's a 10-man, you basically just do 10. If you do like the 40-man, got all 40 here. You can literally type people's names when those select boxes are chosen, and they'll pop right up. It'll show you their level 60 Paladin, level 60 Warrior. I'm a level 20 Priest. Probably not ready to raid yet. When you edit these, I'm going to try to pull the characters by the minimum level. So if you set your minimum level as 60 and you go into the edit mode, it won't show any characters other than the ones that are qualified. So you can use the drop downs if you want. Unfortunately, my middle mouse button closes the drop downs, but so there you go. You click Save Event, and that's how you can set your predefined slots. If you don't have anyone to fill that slot, then you can leave it open and people can request to join that event. So once it's created, I'm going to go over to the main site and show you where you can see all the upcoming events. First spot is up in the events area. Second spot is down here under events and activities. right over here. I have a sample raid that I already put in there earlier this week. I'll show you that. Oops, that was that was the next step. I'm always one step ahead, people. Always one step ahead. Yeah, that's it. Going back. So over here, upcoming events. Sorry, that's the center column. It helps a lot, I swear, when you actually go into the right column. So I clicked on my sample raid event. Here we go. This is going to change a little. I'll sneak preview you for a second here. Later this week, this is what it'll look like. Similar, are you? There you go. So here it's going to track the 20 top attendees based on how many raid bosses they've slain, how many raid completions they've done. So you'll have a list of the top 20 people over there. I might expand that to 40, I don't know. And that will help you identify who's attending the most of your events. You'll have a complete list of all the events that you've done and the objectives that you've completed. You'll have a total up here to show how many raid bosses you've killed, how many raid completions you've done. You'll have all the members that are attending up here. It'll basically show you a list of all their characters. You have your requirements, description, and loot rules right here. There's the add to calendar. Anyone that's wanting to attend a raid and they're signed up, click on that. It'll jump you over to Google Calendar. You can save it to your calendar, and then it'll notify you when that event's going to happen. You can set it as a text message notification or as an email notification. You can change what calendar to view's on, do all the things that you do in Google. There's also a version for Outlook and the Apple iCal system. If you ever need to manage your event, you can just click Manage Event, and that'll take you right back to your event manager. So now we're going to schedule a raid, or not schedule, but we're going to post a raid for claiming after the event has happened. So what we are going to do, go up there, click on Claim Leadership, second option. This will unlock at Lorgaire rank. If you don't have Lorgaire rank yet, you're not going to see it. Once you're on this page, you'll see all the chapters you're taking part in and all the adventures that you're taking part in. And click on World of Warcraft. Now here we are going to lead a conquest. This is where you can claim dungeons and raids. Now you can do either one of these is okay to do with a raid. So if you're just practicing a raid, I highly recommend doing timed campaign because this runs off time, not off boss kills. So you'll get points for just being there. You're not going to get any cool stats with your event to show you how many times you killed a boss, but you will be able to at least give your attendees some credit for attending. So for right now, we're going to do lead a conquest. So conquests basically are objective-based events. Go in there and you can select your event. I'm going to run Foglotta's Awesome Raid. So once I'm in here, you basically are only going to worry about these two objectives right there when you're leading a raid. This will be for every raid boss you slay. This will be for every raid completion that you do. So that's when you killed all the bosses and the raid is 100% complete. So if there was 3 bosses, you click this little thing. Then you give a raid completion for completing the raid. That means that you've done everything in the raid. And then you just click End Event. And that's all there is to it. You just punch those in. You can make sure to copy and paste that code up there in the top left. So let me go back up there. So this code right here, you just copy and paste that into your raid chat, and then the members of your raid can go to the website and claim participation. There is also a stream overlay So we have two options of stream overlay here. If you decide that you want to live stream your raids, highly recommend it. Let me know what your channels are, and I will be happy to host and link to your videos. And then if you decide, oh, you know what, I accidentally posted this twice, I need to delete one, I'll show you how to do that. Just click this garbage can. And bada bing, bada boom, raid go away. Delete my dungeon run from yesterday while I'm here. Alright, now one of the fun things about our site is it tracks victories. So if you go over to like the WoW page or the Guild Wars 2 page or the ESO page, right here on the home page, you'll see how many things that we've done. So as you're accumulating bosses, you're showing the entire world that you're contributing towards the raid boss kills. Eventually, I'm actually going to have a page where you can click on one of these and go see, out of raid bosses, who's killed the most raid bosses. I think that'd be a lot of fun. There is no way to reopen it. If you delete it, there's no way to regain that objective. If you like end the event, you can continue the event by clicking the continue button. So you would have to repost it if you deleted it by accident. So building your raid event. Once you've done that, I always recommend whenever you're doing a raid to create a forum post and link it in your raid group. That way people can discuss your raid, so they can share videos, they can post comments on the raid. You know, what should you be watching for if you want to outline the boss fights in there. That's great. I highly recommend taking the time to put that all together. Getting the people together for your raid is going to be very important. You're going to need to find the right classes. That, you know, if you need 4 DPS or, you know, whatever your DPS count is, whatever your healer count is, how you're going to run it, that's all up to you. So you're going to organize it. The more organized you get, the more success you're going to find. Do not just throw 40 random people in a group and hope to God it works, because it usually won't. And you're just going to get frustrated and frustrate everybody else. So right now, I'm going to open up the floor on Discord and let you guys ask questions. Alrighty, folks, mute me on Twitch. And unmute me on Discord. Anyone have any questions? I'm not hearing anything.
I've got one, Pog.
Sure.
Is there a way to get positive or negative feedback from people to know what we're doing right and wrong?
They can leave you a token of valor with a comment when they are claiming participation. That's one of the options that they can do. They can also send you a private message through the website. We have a system for leaders to get positive feedback from people, like when they give a token of valor, but it's not really a every single raid case. You can also write a review of the raid. So like after you do a raid, I'll show you. So like when I go into one of these events, like the Dead Mine, this person did a Dead Mines run, in attendance today. But here, you can write a recap, and then the recap show up here. So you can actually write stories, or, you know, your thoughts, your compliments, whatever you want here. And you can click on that, and it'll open up the lore page. So here you go. So basically, you can read what they said. That's a great way to let, you know, raid leaders know, or if you want to write a short story or whatever have you about that event. Let me show you.
I'm not sure if
There you
everyone
go.
else is but I don't see anything change. You just have the Q&A logo on the Twitch. Yeah.
You should see it now.
Oh yeah,
Now we see things.
Yeah, I forgot to switch screens again. So
No
just
worries.
click on recent events, like you see whatever event it is. Basically click on the event that you attended. You go on over there, and fortunately enough, this Dead Mind Runs actually has a little legends here written already. So basically small fries in a big vat. So you can click on that, and you can see what the person wrote. And it's not limited, like every single person can put one in there. So you see exactly what they wrote. This could be a story, it could be anything you want. It could be a compliment to your raid leader, it can be compliments to your team, it could be, you know, oh, I think if we worked on this a little better, whatever it is, you can post it in there. And right here is where you can give a token of valor. So if I wanted to give Aolun a token, click on that, and you basically have a form that you can fill out here. Now, unfortunately, as the highest ranked person in the community, I can't give a token of valor to anybody. You have to be a lower ranked member than that person to give them a token. That basically helps us keep favoritism out of our community. Basically, you need these to advance to the warlord ranks, and you can only get them from newer members than yourself. So the people that are at the top, they can't be like, oh, I like this person, let's just pad their stats a little. No, it has to come from the bottom. So you don't climb the ladder without the people at the bottom. So that's just a neat little feature of our community that's been there since day one.
I got a ton of questions.
All right, Kitty, go for it.
Mostly as event leaders, how can we handle more effectively the people who they don't listen, they don't seem to um, understand when we are giving instructions like, hey, stack on the group. Hey, don't don't stand in that red. Hey, we should be on this green. It's like we are not reaching through. What will be the best way? Because in the middle of a fight where you have another 9 people to take care of, especially if you're a healer, um, it gets what's the word? Like emotions run high. Everyone is
Right.
like, "Wah!"
If a person is unable to perform their duties as a member of the raid team, they should be excused and you should replace them. You can work with them on the side to get them to where they need to be, but if they're becoming a detriment to the team, they need to be dismissed until they can get to where they need to be a help to the team. And that's not saying that they're a bad person or anything like that. It's just that they don't have the gear or they aren't moving fast enough to be an effective member of that team.
Right, but how can we give that feedback without sounding elitist, toxic, mean, outright? You
You,
know,
the best way
against
to
our
do it,
team.
is in private tells. You know, just tell them, look, I need you to pay attention to the red circles on the ground and stay out of them. Or whatever they're doing, let them know. And then if they do it again, then you say, look, we really need you to do this. You know, don't go hostile with them. Try to encourage them. Let them know what's happening and why they need to stay out of the circles. So, oh, you know, it's a red circle on the ground. Tell them that debuff does this. You know, let them know why they want to stay out of the red circle. You know, it's not just damage a lot of times. There's some kind of condition that it throws on you, you know, something, or if they're a healer, you know, you need to cleanse this icon, you know, look for this symbol, and whenever you see that symbol, cleanse it. Try to help them become that better person. Don't just say, hey, you suck, get out of my raid, because that's not how we roll. We want to help build people up, and if they can't do it, then you just tell them, we're going to have to replace you for this week, but I will work with you at another time so that we can identify this problem and try to fix it. And
Oh.
one of our people did suggest using OBS to record sessions. Yes, you can do that, and you can put up a small clip of what's going on so that you can see it. Because a lot of times it's hard for them to actually know what's going on. There's so many flashing lights, so many numbers, so many conditions being thrown everywhere. It's really hard to identify. So like one thing I do when I have a raid wipe or any kind of wipe on a battlefield and things just went weird, I'm not sure how it all happened, I look at my combat log, and I'm not looking at my numbers or anything like that. I'm looking at the damage and trying to figure where the big burst of damage came from and identify what that was. What is the tell of this skill? Because this is what we need to avoid. It really comes down to a science. You need to take the time to learn the mechanics so that you can better explain it to everybody.
Also, let's say that we have a small group, right? We are flying with the minimum crew, right? And we need to dismiss someone, but how do we replace this person? Because it feels like there is this cycle of people not improving and people who want to improve go to greener pastures, and it's I don't see the solution, and
You need
I need
to
to fix it.
Okay, so the raid teams need to start being built on the website. I know you all have problems logging in the website and being part of that, but I have this entire system built for you. It allows you to RSVP to these events. You go to any one of these events and sign up. Being those are all mine, I can't sign up for those, but when you start posting those raids and abilities on there, go over to Guild Wars 2 real quick, I can show you. You could sign up for an event. Now that event leader, if they need to find another person, they look at their little list and they contact one of the people on that list. So name reuse fractal groups. That's a good one, good example.
What?
Yep, that namery guy. See, right now, nobody's even signed up for it. So people need to start using this. All you gotta do is click sign up. It's not that hard. Now, namery will get a little insight mail saying Foglata is available to attend your fractal group. And it shows me right there. Now, if you have a bunch of people filling this out, they'll basically have all their stuff in there. So you'll know what classes they can play, what they're able to do. He can then say, okay, this person is signed up for my event. I can move them to the pre-made group, and then you can set your own group through the event manager.
The only thing with that fog is that in the fractals, it's max level, of course, but you need actually to know the agony resistance of people
Yeah.
to know what you can do.
Well,
And that's something it doesn't keep.
Well, that
track
would
of
be
things,
something that you put in your requirements. Right now, you don't have that in your requirements.
No, because it is a teaching one.
Right. So what I would, for any type of event where you have, you have to have certain gear, you have to have a certain, this or that or the other thing, you need a certain amount of cats in your bag, you stick that in your requirements. And if somebody meets those requirements, they can sign up for the event, you talk to these people, make sure that they have them, and then you can set them in one of those pre-made slots. Got it? And if you can't make an event, you can click cancel availability, and that'll remove you from the list.
I have a question. If we have 15 people that are available for like a 10-man raid, can we rotate people in and out? And if we do, can those that are waiting claim credit for stuff that they're not in the dungeon raid?
No. You for raids, you claim the points if you were there completing that objective. If you weren't at the event completing the objective, you don't claim it. Because that opens doors for people to say, oh, well, I was there. I was waiting outside the whole time. And then where's the check and balances on it? If somebody claimed a raid and they weren't in that raid and the raid leader came back to me and said, hey, that person wasn't at my raid, that person would get a little mark on their account. Get too many of those and then we have a talk.
But what if you are waiting patiently and there is never the opportunity of joining? I mean, I wasn't there in the raid, but I was in the event channel waiting patiently. But maybe there is no room.
You weren't there for the boss kills. You didn't participate in the boss kills.
Could a separate timed one be set up for those people that are there?
Not a separate one, no. You only run one event. Like, the event is run for a specific thing. If you're not in the main raid group, then you don't need to hang out unless they're. And if they need to rotate somebody in, they'll put a message out in guild chat looking for a tank.
Under the participation, isn't there one option that basically not selecting bosses, but just selecting the one box that indicates that you were there? Would that be acceptable for cases like that?
Claiming the event but not the bosses, you could do that.
Exactly.
So it's a 10. It's like 10 points.
Right. That would seem like a reasonable.
Yeah, because you weren't there to kill the
option for me.
bosses. So it's like the same thing as like if you showed up halfway through an event, you don't claim the whole thing. You claim from the time that you arrived to the time that it finished. Any other questions?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
I do, but I have a mouthful.
I have
What
one.
did you say, Kitty?
Go ahead.
So, like, I have a druid in the guild, but my hunter isn't. If I'm level 60 on my hunter, or if we were having someone from another guild join for that raid, is there a way to add them to the thing?
Not as a pre-made, no.
Or like in my case, will we just put my druid there and then I get credit that way?
It actually stores by member name, so it would go by your overall Gaiscioch name, not your actual characters. It's just that, but the characters there so that you can select, like if you're looking for a person, like if you're in game, it's going to show your character name. It's not going to show your Gaiscioch name. So I put all the characters in there so that you can type in the character name and it'll automatically lock in there. But when it stores in the database, it's storing your member name. So it doesn't matter which character you put into it, it's going to remember your member.
Okay.
So we highly encourage you to bring public people in. That's how we get more people into our community. We don't want to lock down our events to only Gaiscioch. It's pretty much from the get-go, we've always been about bringing outside community in. Those people are welcome to attend. They might even decide to register to our website and claim that for participation if they want. You can feel free to offer them that. They don't need to be in our guild to be a member of our website. They could be a part of our community even in another guild. That's the biggest thing to remember. Not a lot of guilds do this, but we don't care what guild tag is above your head. We just care about what's on your face, and we want to smile there.
All right, I'm ready for the question.
All right, go for it, Kitty.
Pugging. Is it okay to fill with looking for groups, looking for pugs? What will be the pug policy? I feel that also to pug will be important to tell them what the objective of the group is. Like if it is a full clear, if it is a speed run, if it is a training, if it is a yeah, training is okay. But what will be the pug policy? Like we have to excuse someone out of the group, or someone gets an emergency, like, oh no, the cat's stealing the soap, I need someone to cover for me, please. So how do we pug? Should we pug? Are pugs okay?
Yes, I encourage you to allow outside members to join our raids. That's how Gaiscioch grew in the first place. That's how we all got together. Many of you guys probably didn't know, but way back in the day, there used to be this Jolly Green Dragon out in Hibernia, in the, I think, Shannon Eastery, I think is where it was. It was in that really mystical area. And we'd travel out there first weekend of every month for 2 years, and we'd throw ourselves at this dragon as a great sacrifice to try to figure out how to kill it. It took us 2 years to figure it out, but it finally happened. We killed it, mounted that head around the Gaiscioch house wall, and a lot of the people that were with us were not in Gaiscioch when we started. By the time that we finally killed it, they ended up being in Gaiscioch. So welcoming outside players to join you is always welcome. That's a great way to get people to be part of the community. When they see that we raid differently than other communities and we're not yelling at them and making viral videos out of our comments, then that might help make a decision for them that, hey, you know what, these people can do it without yelling and screaming and calling people names. This is a great a great community to be a part of. So highly recommend it. All, each of you raid leaders is going to make your own policies on how you're going to handle when you bring a pug in.
The biggest thing with dealing with pugs is always let them know what the loot rolls are
Yes,
in advance.
loot rolls are
And
important, and explaining every boss fight right before the boss fight is very important as well. Also, let them know, our Discord information. Try to get them in voice chat if you can. Um, just being as detail oriented as you can possibly be, because they need to know what to expect when they're going into it.
how to deal with the bugs that are instantly becoming toxic.
If a pug is toxic, kick them. Don't even ask questions. Don't try to fight it. If they're going all viral video on you, you just kick them out. Go get a new one.
Okay. Just wanting to be sure that was allowed to just kick bugs then.
Yes. Yes, if somebody is being a detriment to the group, you are fully allowed to remove them from the group. That is within your group, no matter what you're doing. You can be farming murlocs, and if somebody's being toxic to you, you can remove them from your group. You should never sit there and let somebody be toxic to you. That shouldn't be a thing.
And that's why it's super important to say from the get-go when a pug joins, hey, this is a training group, or hey, this is a clear group. Because if someone joins expecting a kill and we are on the third, fourth pool and we are just teaching the mechanics, they are not going to be happy, right?
All right, so guys, I want you to pay very close attention to our only one there, one rule. If somebody is directing attacks at another person in our community, that is against rule number 1, the only one. That is blades out, not in. You never attack family. And that goes for everything that we do. Raid groups, dungeon groups, just socialization in general. That is on the very first application that you fill out. Like when you first join the community, you agree to this. So you can't say, oh, I didn't know. It is pretty blatantly obvious.
And that's why it's important when giving feedback, especially when having to remove someone from the raid group or a fractal group, to do it in typing. It's hard to screenshot sound
Yep.
because if someone goes to an elder and said, "Oh no, Kitty was mean, she was toxic, she was uber rude to me," and all I said on the feedback was, "Please stuck on me," it's going to be awkward.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but it has to deal with the bugs. If they're toxic, you always have to deal with the aftermath that people are taking it very serious. And yeah, even if it is a bug, people can be hurtful by that. Can be hurt by that.
Yep. So, don't be afraid to dismiss people. If they go all crazy person on you, feel free to block them, even if they're family. Um, you can elevate it. Or if someone's going toxic to you in tells, please screenshot it, send it to me in Discord. I'll take a look at it and see what we can do about it. We do have a little backside elder log that basically tracks all the strange events happening within. And if things happen too often with a person, we'll have to sit down and have a talk with them. And if we have to, we'll dismiss them. But a lot of times I find that just talking it out and kind of coming to a common term usually will resolve most matters. Sometimes it's just people having a bad day.
Well, currently we have, if we, for example, in Guild Wars 2, if we bring up the bugs and we want to get them in the Discord, every channel are currently behind the role. So will there
Except the Guild
be
Wars 2
maybe?
Have Guild Wars 2 community events, ESO community events, and WoW community events public at the top.
Yeah, but what if there is someone already running event on Guild Force community events? I
Well,
mean,
what you'd want to do is have them join the tavern. You can tag them when they pop in. You can watch general chat,
Okay.
and as they sign in, you will see that so and so has joined the channel. When they join the channel, you can also see what game they're playing. If they're playing a game, tag them with that game. That saves them time and allows them to see what they're going into. So just pay attention to Discord, see the people that are joining around your event, and you should be able to tag them with the right thing so that they can join your channel.
yeah, but I'm talking about bugs. They may not join the guild, or they may not be the people in community altogether. I mean, it's
Right. You still tag them. It doesn't matter if they're
Okay.
in the community or not. You tag them in Discord. This
Okay.
Discord is
Okay.
public. Everybody can join it.
all right.
You don't have to be in the guild to be in the Discord.
Yeah, of course. It's understandable. Okay, so that's the normal procedures that we just throw the tag and tell them to join this channel.
Yep. So just watch the general chat channel. That's where all the new people joining announcements go. And you should see them pop in when you're leading your event. And you can just click on them and tag them. Like just left click on their name and then tag it. Should show up there.
Cool.
At least for the warlords. Warlords and higher should see it. I didn't quite make out what that was. Any other questions?
Do we have to accept the leader credo to do the raids to run them?
No, that's just to get into the warlord ranks.
Okay.
To join them, you can just be any rank.
Yeah, you can be a Lorgaire and lead raids.
Yeah, that's what I'm at right now. That's why.
To lead them, but you can join whenever.
Yeah, any rank can join.
Okay.
Fog, for recurring events, can we update the event manager so it will we can choose whether to have availability carry over? Right now it looks like availability carries over by default.
Yeah, it is by default, so that you can each week change it up as needed. So you want to dump all the ones that have RSVP'd, but keep the pre-mades?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're about doing something like that.
I'd like to have that option, because right now I just put recurring on a bunch of my events, and it's showing people available for events that are in December and January, and I don't know if they actually will be.
Yep. All right. Any other questions?
I'm good, thank you.
All right then. I will let you guys go. This has been kind of a rating overview in Gaiscioch. Just remember, keep it kind, guys. Keep it kind. Be that raider that you want to meet. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for the information.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.